I hold here in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers a copy of Love Lies in the Throes of Rhetoric by Anthony Gedell. This is his debut novel. Two main characters here are Trask and his girlfriend Eudora. They're on the run. Not from the law, got a terrible life going for them right now. They need to get it straightened out. High school sweethearts racing toward a red light, penniless and on the run, jobless, world-weary, desperate from the fight, a future enveloped by arrears and evictions. Back in the early, mid-1970s, the first album I ever bought was Ronnie Milsap Live. After he played his first set, he got up on stage, bullshitting with the audience, tells them a story about how he met Elvis. And a few years later, I got to go see Ronnie Milsap Live at a place called Tombstone Junction in southeastern Kentucky. And again, after the first set, he got up bullshitting with us and told us a story about Elvis. Now, a few years ago, I looked up Ronnie Milsap on the internet just out of curiosity. It looks like he has a residence, maybe in Vegas or one of these other desert towns out here. And again, he gets up during his show and talks about how he met Elvis. Obviously a very important event in Ronnie Milsap's life. The story is they were getting ready to play a song and Elvis said to Ronnie, "Give me some thunder, piano man." And he wants Ronnie to get down at the left-hand side of the keyboard. And that's Anthony Gedell. He's down at the left-hand side of the keyboard. No fingers on middle C for this guy, right? He's thundering. Give an example of his poetics here. The candle flame vested upon the coffin wall surrounding them paints Eudora in shadow of some dogged beast, swallowed by her own silhouette. A spectral metamorphosis divulged by the fractures of her own heart. Too much time and too much pain. In her chest resides a celestial gravel mined from dead stars. The poison seeping through the cracks of glaciers. This is not a beach read. This is a difficult read. You will be chased to a dictionary. You will reread sentences. Articles and prepositions have been trimmed back. There's bald patches without dialogue tags. This is a thinking person's book. You're going to want to settle in with your espresso machine and an OED. Trask does get a job as a private investigator. A professional private dick named Ford hires him. The cops have been on strike, so these private investigators are busy. There's tent cities. Those of us who live in urban areas like San Diego and all this, we see the tent cities already. Food supply disruptions are going on. Here's what it looks like in one of these tent cities in here. A guy named Jaws taking his girlfriend Malachi into a tent city where he lives for a visit. They keep moving. There's no formation about them, no community. Some of them don't even have tents, just sleeping in trash bags. The spines of men and women bent and out of shape. Nobody on their feet. Everybody huddled over a screen. There is no solid ground to stand upon. All of it just muck and filth. A small child building mud castles and covered in the stuff looks up at them with glass in her hair. They move on. Mal tries to find some nature around the exterior. It creates a barrier of all its callings and trappings. There's a mesh of rep and heavy metal music. People don't have shoes, but they have phones. There doesn't seem to be water, but there are bottles of other substances. Orange and glass, brown and clear, syringes and needles and spoons. Now also, this private Dick Ford, he's out investigating one of these crimes, and he's got to go into the tent city looking for information. And this is what his impression of the tent city was when he was there. Floating in the sea of the insane, ill, stupid, depressed, desensitized, neurotic, murderous, or a culmination of all the above, somewhere in the middle, he liked to believe there might be something like grace. He's about ready to leave. Hasn't gotten any solid information. Barely a solid sentence out of people. Our main character here, Trask, he's a klutz. Can't do anything with his hands. Even for the house repairs, Eudora's dad has to come over and help him. And in fact, he just does it all for him. He's a sensitive type. He's a writer. He can't even drive his car right. heading the wrong way, backing into a driveway and turning around and onto another way. He nearly hits 2 cars parked in the cluster. Calculating, recalculating, that's his phone's GPS. The phone won't connect. He stops in the middle of the road and turns his phone off and turns it back on to set up the route. He follows the way amongst the trails orchestrated by the robotic voice, drives into a dead end, turns the car around and drives on, recalculating, recalculating. Reversing and then driving and reversing and driving. Park, reverse, drive, park, reverse, drive. He cannot get the car right any which way. Each inch takes him into another car, on a person's lawn, right up on somebody's house at 1 o'clock in the morning. He turns off the heat, turning the wheel and turning it again. Calculating, recalculating. Churning in this gear until the rear tires dip and the front elevates eye level with the dashboard. Trask goes for a ride upward bound and bound to his vehicle. The car dips backwards into a ditch between sidewalks. He cuts the wheel and revs the pedal to the floor, getting all 4 tires on the road, and screams. He smashes his fists on the wheel. The thundering poetics here remind me a little of a Cormac McCarthy. There's even a character here named John, a hotel owner. He employs Eudora and other people to help him run his hotel. He has a peculiar aristocratic mode of speech, like the character John Shadan in McCarthy's The Passenger. And John here invites Eudora and the other employees and their boyfriends, girlfriends to come to his restaurant for dinner one night. He wants to make a proposition. An undertaking, John says. Save us, he's got an idea, Daniela says. The grips of it. You all have things going on in your lives, things that need finishing, artistic ventures. You young people devote yourselves to each other too quick. You need space to find yourselves. You who are young, be happy. He gets interrupted here when he says that. John preserves those words to each their attention. While you are young, let your heart give you the joy in the days of your youth. Banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body. Here again, they interrupt him. Nonsense, back on track here. You have some expansion to be done. New surroundings spark creativity. Get out of the house and divide the sum of a room where my man Adonis keeps. Adonis is Trask. I know how hard it is for you guys to have a place of your own these days. Those in the tight spaces of the ties. A way out. A place to go. We meet back here after some time just like this and share what we've made. A sign-in sheet to be kept outside the room. There'll need to be some negotiations, maybe some invites, rules and limitations. Nothing bound to these governances. No kids allowed. No parties. Keep it clean, John says. You'll have to make some reservations with your other. We should get more people in on this. Spark some debate. Are we the only parents here? Gosh, we are, aren't we, John says, talking to Daniela. I have just become so unamazed by you, Daniela says to John, smearing cream on his face. And John continues, so say we all. Hear, hear. John takes a folded piece of cloth collecting dust off the table and swats away at the surface. Stands up on the table and takes a knee. Finally, we come forth. Dare I say it, ladies and gentlemen, love lies in the throes of rhetoric. If you're a reader that likes a challenge, get your mind stretched, you like to think, this is the book for you. You come across a word here, Euroclydon. Might ring a bell for you if you think back to your Sunday school days. Euroclydon is the wind in the Mediterranean that shipwrecked Paul the Apostle. Acts 24:17, I think it was. He's a debut novelist, and we all love to find debut novelists. Back in 2022, Leslie Jameson, her debut novel, The Gin Closet, came out, and it was much hyped. So much, she wrote a New York Times piece about it. And in the piece, she wrote, gossiping about the debut novel has become its own contact sport. So let this be our gossiping about our debut novelist. Me and my YouTube channel, we have discovered Anthony Gedell.